They call me Ed, sometimes Seth, but mostly just Rocks. And you're listening to Ed Ceterox. Let's talk about anything and everything till we reach the end of our thinking capacity. Hi everyone. There's something on my microphone. Okay. And it's a lovely Sunday evening in the Philippines. And we're in the middle of the rainy season, aka mosquito season. And right in front of me is my setup, and I have a small pot of oregano that my dad gave me to put in my room. And apparently, they're good indoor plants to keep bugs away. And at the same time, I have some mosquito incense lit just so we can get some scent and smoke going around in the room. Now, while that sounds dangerous, breathing wise, ventilation wise, I do have my windows open so we can get some oxygen in here. But it seems to be working in terms of keeping the bugs away. And for those of you who don't already know, I'm sort of a magnet when it comes to bugs. So it's a little bit difficult for me to stay in my bedroom when there's a lot of bugs because I get bit a lot and the marks are so ugly. It looks like I am experiencing chickenpox for the nth time because I don't really know how many times I've had the chickenpox before. Okay. That was just like a little bit of a short introduction where I am at life right now. Where I'm at. Okay. Let's just get into the episode. Well, if I'm not mistaken, we are officially on our second week. Second week in terms of the themes. We've gone full circle from Sunday to Saturday, and now we're back to our Sunday theme. Okay, so welcome to a Social Sundays episode. Now, for those of you who may be unsure on what Social Sundays is all about, I'm not gonna explain it like I did in the very first official episode, but I'm just gonna read quickly like the definition just so new listeners can get a glimpse of how it's gonna be like for every single theme, and they can sort of relate to the old listeners if I do so happen to have listeners already. Hi, hello. It's another Social Sundays episode where you're going to put my almost psychology degree to some use and discuss people in general and stories of my life that involve socially awkward interactions. Starting right now because I need to pause real quick. BRB. I was actually away for a good few minutes. I had to go to the bathroom, and I guess that's one of the good things about podcasts because they're recorded. And they can be edited and stuff before people get to listen to them. I guess that's one of like the drawbacks. As much as I love radio hosting, that's like recorded live, and it's a little bit awkward to pause in between the broadcast because you're kind of gonna need a spare host to help you while you're not around, or you're gonna be playing some awkward jingles until you're back. But while I was in there, while I was washing my hands, I was thinking of what I was going to say. And it's kind of cool how I'm filming or recording this Social Sunday episode on a Sunday. And it's quite rare because prior to this episode, Sundays for me are laundry days or evenings. But I'd usually be tired from doing the laundry because we used to use a manual washing machine where we had to do everything manually by hand, where we just shoot everything in the washing machine, add some water. After a timer, we have to change the load so we can save on soap and water, so on and so forth until spin dry cycle, because you have to time and everything. So in order for you to successfully complete a single wash, rinse, spin cycle, I'm gonna have to go back and forth the washing machine or at least 3 times. So depending on how many loads you have, you just multiply it by that. But recently we actually got an automatic washing machine, and life just got a whole lot easier. So yeah, I guess let's just get right into the episode. I feel like there's like an awkward cut there somewhere because the dogs were barking earlier, so I just had to do like a real quick cut. So anyway, I listed here on my notes about the episode I wanted to do today, and I don't know if I'm going to title it this way, but it's talking about what it's like to socialize as an introvert or being a social introvert. I'm not entirely sure how to categorize myself because for some people there are extroverts who are introverted, you know what I mean? And then there are also introverts who are so extroverted. While I don't really see myself as an ambivert, I truly do think that I'm 100% introvert. I do enjoy well, the thing I put here is I'm an introvert who is fascinated by people. Now, I'm going to use this entire episode to justify why I sort of think that way. It's kind of weird, really. Probably, I'm not sure if there's a lot of introverts who will be able to relate to this. But let's talk about the whole misconceptions for introverts in the first place. There's a few things that people automatically assume when somebody identifies themselves as an introvert. Number one is being shy. First of all, whether you're an introvert or not, you can be shy. And am I shy? Yes, but I wouldn't say I am super duper shy. But I kind of identify myself as somebody who is selectively social. Do I get stage fright? Definitely. Am I also able to stand up on stage or crowds and perform or whatever? Sure. But I think being shy is a trait that doesn't really have anything to do with introversion. So yeah, let's get that thing out of the way. Number two. When you're an introvert, you're antisocial. Like, bro. All or most, if not all introverts have friends. If they don't have friends, it doesn't necessarily mean they hate people. There may be introverts that hate people or are antisocial, but not as a collective. That's another thing that has nothing to do with introversion. The thing about introverts and people is the introverts are more conscious about how they utilize their energy. Why am I talking in third person? I'm also an introvert myself, but yeah. The thing is, we don't hate people. We just rather not people. You know what I mean? Unless we have to. Why? Here comes the third thing. Introverts are people who usually run on what we call social batteries. Let me just take a little sip real quick. If I were to do this podcast in front of other people, there will be a lot of stimuli and interactions and reactions and overthinking that I have to deal with. And that's going to consume a lot of my energy because instead of focusing on what I really want to say, I'm going to be focused on what the other people around me are doing, what they're feeling or thinking, and if they do decide to interact with me, I have to deal with that. For introverts, we kind of run things inward. We've got a lot going on inside our heads. And the thing is, for us to manifest those things inside our heads outside, it takes a lot of our energy. And sometimes we come across as aloof because, well, we kind of want to save it for when we really need to. I don't know. I'm sort of speaking in terms of, I guess, stereotypes or what, and I could be wrong in this, but this is based on just my knowledge on introverts and being an introvert myself. Now, let's talk about the main topic at hand. Why do I say that I'm an introvert fascinated by people? Now, I guess we're gonna talk about a little bit, on the C word again. If you don't know what the C word is, check out episode 3 or 4. Yeah, 3. Our first Trending Tuesday episode on the C word. Anyway, this whole lockdown has got me thinking about my love language. Love language is another concept, I guess, in psychology or communication that has something to do with how do you express yourself, how do you express your affection or desire or like towards others. And there are, well, 5 common love languages, which are mainly quality time, physical touch, acts of service, words of affirmation, and receiving gifts. And while I am an introvert, my main love languages are quality time and physical touch. During this whole thing where we all gotta stay home, it has really pushed me to this sort of frenzy where I had to stay in touch with the people I love and care about. And so, in a way, it was kind of me forcing myself to have quality time with them, but in the means of words of affirmation, because I couldn't physically see nor touch these people. Now, it's a little bit weird. This is where it gets a little bit awkward. Although I am a writer by occupation, and probably a lot of my friends can vouch for this, I'm actually pretty good, or I have a habit of writing long messages to friends, or when we talk normally on the phone or by text. Yes, I'm an introvert who likes phone calls occasionally, depending on the person. I can write a lot. Like, I can maintain communication in terms of writing, but I'm still an introvert. I need to recharge. It can get so overwhelming. Whereas the perfect love language for me is to just sit in a room with a person or whoever it is, like friend or whatever, friends or family, and we can just do our own thing. And I'm already so good with that. And in terms of physical touch, we can be, playing around. We could be talking, like things like holding hands, giving hugs and kisses or whatever. Those really mean a lot to me because those really don't. It really doesn't require a lot of energy to exert energy to touch a person. In terms of like physical touch or spending quality time, it's all about your presence. And as an introvert, at least for me, it's so important for me to be able to do those things with people I love and care about. Otherwise, I seem so antisocial and distant from other people. Okay, dog. Okay. The thing is, if I'm gonna get straight to the point on what the problem I'm experiencing is, I have no motivation or have zero interest in keeping up with friends and family on social media if it's not about seeing them personally or spending actual quality time with them. Does that sound horrible? Most probably, but that's the thing. I love people. I'm interested in people. I love to know about them, what's going on with their lives. But if it doesn't really involve any of those 2 of my love languages, I find it so hard to express myself. I feel so useless, or I feel like a vegetable. It feels so pretentious for me to keep writing all those dedications and letters, but nobody really knows if you mean what you're saying. Okay, the dog is just continuously barking in the background, and it's kind of bothering me, so I think I need to pause real quick until it can, just keep quiet. This episode is a kind of strange for me because for once I'm not really looking at my list and I'm just continuously talking and sharing my stories. So I may be disorganized right now in terms of like later when I kind of run out of things to talk about, I'm gonna have to rush through my list and I might end up talking about things again that I've already mentioned earlier. But I guess I just wanted to put that into the flow since I'm already in that topic of discussion. But it's a pretty good thing I have horrible short term memory because I kind of lost my train of thought. So now I really do have to look at my list. And the first thing I put here is like, I'm actually a hugger and I'm kind of touchy. What that means is, if we're close friends and, we're on good terms, I'm most likely to be that friend who's slightly touchy in terms of, when we see each other. Like, I'm somebody who gives pats on the shoulder, high fives you, gives you a handshake, gives you like a bro fist or a hug or whatever. And if we're like, lady friends, I like to give them, a kiss on the forehead, a kiss on the cheek, here and there. So, I love to express my love and affection in this, small gestures, like just physical touch. And like I said, quality time. It's about giving my time. I've mentioned before how time is the most expensive currency for me. So for me to devote my time to somebody is like an act of love for me. Like my presence is there. You have my attention. You have my being, my presence around you. Because I don't really know what else is there that I can offer. While the other love languages do exist for me. It's just those two that top the list, since that's my natural state. So right now, not being able to have face-to-face interactions with people I kind of want to see around, I kind of feel a bit anxious that I'm not showing them enough affection or like letting them know that I care when I really do. I consider myself to be a zero maintenance friend. Like, we could spend years apart or not even talking and we just want to reconnect. I'm totally fine with that because I know we all got our own thing and we can't really control our lives in terms of what it has in store for us. So I'm somebody who just gives and takes. Does that make sense? It is what it is kind of mindset that if we see each other, awesome. If we don't, it's fine. I don't take it personally. But the thing is, I don't expect other people to be like that. So I get this anxiety or anxious feeling that if I don't talk to my friends once in a while, ask them how they are, even though I genuinely do care about their well-being, I feel like I'm gonna lose friends in the long run, and it kind of makes me a little bit depressed to think about it. Yikes. Okay, I'm just gonna pause real quick. I'm gonna drink some water. So, in a way, if I start talking about the other love languages, what comes after that for me is usually acts of service or giving them gifts or doing something for the people I love because I enjoy taking care of people. I love making them feel like, I don't really have to tell them, but they know that I care about them because I want to listen to them. I'm interested in what's going on with them. If they need anything or want anything, if it's within my power, I do my best to give to them. I guess in a way I'm like a provider, and I'm somebody who loves to just do all the little things over grand gestures because I'm not really about grand gestures. Maybe once in a while, but it's just about the everyday thing because we don't really expect every day to be grand as much as we want it to be. But I just my way of loving people is just showing them the small things, little things every day that make life a lot easier. In the world of like social media, it's a bit difficult for me because even though I do have some sort of social media presence, I disappear online a lot. And if it's not already that obvious in this podcast that I'm a lurker, I don't necessarily let people know that I'm there, but I am there. Or if I'm not there, I'm usually just busy with my own thing. Is that an introvert thing? I'm just in my own world. I'm in my bubble. I'm in my comfort zone. And as much as I do care, I just don't show it, or I can't show it because I have other means of showing it. It's a bit difficult to discuss. So, like now, the only way for people to just keep in touch is, being digital, having virtual meetings or whatever. And that kind of setup doesn't really work for me as much as I want it to. I mean, maybe it can, I guess. But the thing is, we have this tendency to just take things at our own pace. And I don't mean it to be rude, but like, if you send me an email, a DM, or a private message or a text, I'm gonna take my own sweet time before replying to you, even though I have seen it. Or maybe I have seen the notification and I will still take my time before actually viewing it and replying to you. Or sometimes I may not even reply at all, which really sucks because I don't mean it to be rude. I may be interested in interacting with you, but it doesn't feel as urgent when you just send me a message. And it's completely my prerogative whether I want to interact with you or not. That sounds so horrible, but that's just the way I am. It's not something that I mean to do to hurt people, but it's just a natural thing for me not to. I'm somebody who logs out of social media and uninstall apps. It's kind of like a waste of data and time to download and re-downloading or uninstalling apps. But that's the way I do things. It's a bit. It's so hard to be social, and in my case, because I'm just somebody. I'm just an observer. I just like being around. I don't have to make some sort of noise or have the spotlight on me or seek some sort of attention because it's so weird. And like right now on my phone, I think I do have I only have like my Instagram installed because it's the only one I actually use. But like I'm logged out there, and if I do go online, I have these thing called my therapy accounts where I don't follow anybody that I actually know in person, and nobody follows me back on those accounts. I only follow accounts that I want to see, which are usually things I'm fascinated by, which are usually have nothing to do with my social circle. And it's kind of going off topic because I'm talking about being an introvert fascinated by people. Now, what I mean by this, in terms of my therapy accounts, my fascination for people are usually things that would relate to my hobby. I have a few weird hobbies here and there, which I might mention in a future episode, and that's me sharing with you what type of accounts I follow. Because if I kind of think about it on the top of my head, I might go off topic because there's so much things to talk about, and I'm gonna forget so many things because I only pay attention to it once it's right in front of me. I tend not to overthink too much because I am an overthinker. But I did mention this earlier about your prerogative with being replying to messages and stuff. I do think I'm somebody who's an instant replier, where once you send me a message, I tend to be somebody who replies right away. Or I'm also the type to just see your messages and just delete it. Not because I'm disinterested or whatever, I'm just a deleter. And that's kind of funny because there's a song by Group Love called Deleter. Guys should give it a listen. It's a pretty cute song. But yeah, I don't like keeping clutter digitally also. Yeah, I'm that kind of minimalist who doesn't really like clutter. And I might talk about my I call this traits of being a minimalist, because I have different reasons for being a minimalist that may not be the same as everyone else, because everybody has their own thing. You don't have to fit in a certain label, but I guess labels are also a way to help people identify stuff. But yeah, and if like being an instant replier and somebody who sees messages and just deletes them right away, that's a way for me, to let people know that, yeah, I actually do see your messages and I do pay attention. So, like, I make myself a little bit too available for people, because I know how it feels to be, or to know, or feel like, people are available, but they don't make themselves available to you, which is fine, because setting boundaries is important, but that's my way of being sociable. And I did mention a few things here that, like a way, like some traits that I have that seem extroverted, or doesn't seem something like an introvert would be. Wait, I'm just taking a sip real quick. And I mentioned earlier, it's being a long texter. And sometimes I feel bad for people that I'm messaging. So I'm somebody who also likes to send audio files, or those recording on what you call voice chats, just so people can listen to it like a phone call, but it's not really a phone call, or just straight go for a phone call. Probably growing up, I'm somebody who doesn't like phone calls, but I guess lately now phone calls just feel a lot more practical. If somebody's going to be talking a lot and I'm just going to listen, or if I have a lot to say and I don't want them reading a novel. Because I guess I just have a broader understanding of what people like, or I tend to just adjust myself accordingly. I still prefer written messages over phone call. I think the thing is, when I do choose a phone call, I feel bad for the person that's like at the end of the phone call, because if I'm not too quiet, I'm just overtaking the whole conversation, and I just want to be like the listener. That's why it's important for me to spend quality time with people. I'm trying to hold a burp, and I'm sorry. Okay. Heist. And I guess we're just gonna discuss a little bit about how it's like for me to make friends, or how it's like for me to meet new people. Maybe a lot of people can relate to this, but I'm somebody with an RBF. And pardon the profanity real quick, but yeah, it's having a resting face. You guys can complete the the context for that. But yes, I have an RBF. So when people tend to take a look at me the first time, I'm somebody who looks angry or moody or sad. So it's a little bit hard to approach me, or I find it hard to approach other people, because there's that impression of me judging them quietly. So they feel like there's this sort of wall between us that they can't approach me. But only for them to realize later that I'm just really awkward and that there was nothing for them to worry about all along. Now, if I'm gonna be honest, I do judge people quietly, but not because I'm judging them in a demeaning way. I just do it in a observing fashion of judging, like, oh, they look like this, I wonder what they do, they look interesting or whatnot, they have nice features or what. Nothing of the sort that, ooh, it looks fishy, ooh, it looks scary, gross. Like, I don't do that stuff. If I do, that's probably only during times when I feel like I'm in danger. Yeah. And the problem with that is, of making it hard for people to approach me, I have to force myself to be sociable. Yes, and I mean the term force, because I have to take initiative. Because I look so grim. I have this grim outer shell that, people just find awkward or weird or unapproachable or what. So I have to be the big guy. I have to be proactive, people have different first impressions of me, and it's usually unusual because it depends on how it's like. If you're the one who's forced to come to me, or if I'm the one who's forced to approach you. Forced is a strong word, but it's usually something like that. When I approach them, oh, Rox, you're actually friendly, or like, oh, I thought you were scared, I thought you were mad at me, I thought you hated me. People would go like that, but once you get to know me, they'd know I'm just super low maintenance, borderline zero, if not zero. And once you really get to know me like super duper close, I actually seem a little bit clingy and needy, like because I'm a bit touchy, but like I just want people to feel that they matter, not that they don't, but like me making myself needy is a way for me to make people feel good about themselves. Does that make sense? I don't know. That sounds like a horrible thing to say. It's a bit hard to explain, but I guess it has something to do with taking care of people or wanting people to take care of me. So it's like a two-way interaction of starting friendships or relationships, and it's a bit awkward to talk about this because I'm an MBSB, aka no boyfriend since birth, so it's super duper awkward to talk about this, but yikes. I'm actually not a fan of small talk, and at first I don't really like to talk about me. I tend to be just somebody who I am a storyteller, which sometimes is about me or just stuff in general. And I'm somebody who likes to give advice or just listen to people. I prefer, people taking the lead just because I want to know how they want things to go, because that's what makes me comfortable. And I want everybody to be comfortable. If I take the lead and I do things my way and that makes people uncomfortable, then that would make me uncomfortable. Right? You know what I mean? So it might seem super passive, but that's my way of keeping it proactive. Does that make sense? I don't know. For me to talk so much about myself, I guess that usually just happens because I'm not a fan of small talk and gossip. I have no interest in talking about other people, so I tend to just reflect back on myself, react to stuff, and just, focus on myself, then talk about things I know nothing about. So that's what usually happens. But the thing is, my fascination with people is about me wanting to know people. Like, not just talking, but I love to observe, and I like to experience things with people, like, you know what I mean? Like shared experiences. And that's my way of, getting to know them, seeing them, what they're like, their reactions, their feelings, their opinions, or whatever. If you want to be creepy about it, I'm just a outright lurker, observer, not a stalker, of course, but I just like to watch. Look but no touch, look with some touch, but I don't know, it's super weird. Okay, we're getting really weird. But that's just a way for me to put it. Yikes. I'm fascinated by people and how they, we're all kind of the same, but we're also kind of different. In a way, I'm fascinated by people's unusual habits or knowing the small things about them. Like, when people think that they're weird, I actually appreciate it in the sense that it's okay to be weird. Like, you should be weird, because being normal is boring. But then again, if everybody is weird, then what is normal, right? If weird is normal, then what is normal? Is normal weird? Okay, I just kind of tried my best to quote that because it's actually one of my posts on my Instagram page. Follow me at Ceterox, or don't. You do you. But I want people to be their own person. I want them to, take control of their life. Like, you do what you want to do and just be responsible about it. I'm somebody who just wants you to do your own thing, and I just want to be present. Like, I want to be a quiet presence, or I don't know. I'm not noisy or naggy. I put it there. Like, I guess this is kind of like a subjective thing where I can be noisy and I can be naggy, but I'm somebody who, like, when it comes to what your own life decisions, you just do your own thing. Like, you do you. And the thing is, when we're virtually interacting, I usually end up having no choice. If I'm not noisy or naggy, I seem disinterested. Whereas in person, I can just keep quiet and show them a face, showing the look, or like, that, I'm listening, I'm interested look without overdoing it. So that makes me really awkward on audio or video or messages because I never know when to reply, or like, it's so awkward. I overanalyze everything. This is why I really dislike social media in some sense, but this is the world we live in now. I like to be loud through actions, not words. I just want to do stuff. I don't want to just say stuff. Baby, say stuffs. Oh gosh, don't say stuffs. I'm hurt. My ears are in pain. Okay, wait. Just taking a quick sip again. sorry. I don't know if it's super loud whenever I breathe into the mic, but yeah. I like to be loud through actions and not words. It's kind of like contradicting, considering that I'm a podcaster, I'm a writer, and I just prefer to experience and do stuff compared to those. I guess for me, writing and talking is a creative outlet. And it's pretty useful when it comes to quality time, but the thing is, when it's coming from me, when I'm like socializing, I don't want to have to use my words. I just like to be around and experience things. Is it? I don't know. It's so hard to explain. It's a bit contradicting, because I just want to do stuff. I don't want to have to say stuff. You know what I mean? I actually just have low expectations of other people because, like I said earlier, I just want people to do their own thing. But the thing is, I'm quite the opposite with myself. Like, I don't expect other people to be sociable with me or to socialize with me all the time. The thing is, if I don't do it to other people, and then I just feel like a horrible person, which is kind of like an all or nothing mindset that is quite bad. Yikes. But the thing is, I have this rather unrealistic expectations that I think I'm destined for greater things, but I really have to work on it, otherwise it's nothing. Well, that sounds so ambitious and pretentious, actually. I have difficulty explaining it, but the thing is, I put myself up on the pedestal even though I think I'm next to nothing. That's why I'm somebody who's constantly interested in learning and self-growth, because I always think that I am somebody who can be better than who I was today and yesterday. Does that make any sense? That doesn't really have anything to do with other people. It's just, I guess that's how I treat myself. Is that a poor way to treat myself? I'm not quite sure. But that's how I'm kind of like right now. I have like a lot of dreams, ambitions, and aspirations, which I might talk about in another episode because it's gonna cover, what are my expectations for myself. But then again, I included that random fact because my fascination with people is like collecting data of things about people that I like or I want to become. Because, like, I guess my fascination for people is like seeing how we all live in the same planet, we are all given the same time of day, but we all spend it differently. And it's fascinating to me that there are people who can live their dreams. There are people who are working for their dreams. There are people who are dreaming. And is it envy or jealousy that they're able to do it? I do feel some slight, I guess, envy in terms of that, but it's more of like an inspiration or aspiration that, hey, if they can do it, why can't I? Right? Like, they kind of serve as role models for me that, they made it possible, so I can make my own thing possible. It makes me feel inspired. That we all live different lives, so we create our own paths. And the thing about people is, you can meet them early on, you can meet them much later. Your paths can intertwine, or you can meet once but never again, or you can be parallel, never meeting. I don't know. Or you can stop at the same station and go from there. I don't know. We all have our own journey, and it's kind of interesting in the sense that it makes me so fascinated that I view these people in the sense that they're living their best life, and I'm pretty sure they're just doing their own thing, to grow, to learn, or to get where they want. And I guess there's like the thing with let's talk a little bit like about celebrities in the sense, like they're famous, they're high profiles, they're living a high status or whatever. But not all of them started that way. They started maybe in the same level as I did, or maybe even worse or whatever. But that's what's fascinating about life and people for me. Like, I love to know people's stories. I feel like that's one of the most precious information that you can gather out there, because everybody has a different story. People can experience the same things in life, but they wouldn't view it the same way as you would. That could happen. Or people could be experiencing a completely different thing, but then you'd have the exact same feeling as the person. You know what I mean? It's so fascinating for me that there's so many people in the world, and there's so many people to know about, and as much as an introvert would probably dread having to talk to every single person until they can find somebody who's so compatible with them that they can be best friends forever, whatever. It's kind of a dream of mine to find like an ultra best friend or something. Like, you can just click and you can just share everything and anything or nothing, but still have a really great friendship / relationship or whatever. And thinking about that now, I really do miss my friends. The thing about me is, I'm somebody who can say I know a lot of people whom I can consider my friend, and it's not a way for me to speak ill about them, but I don't necessarily expect them to feel the same way the other way around, where they think of me as their friend. Probably some people might consider me their acquaintance at best, or somebody who they think is nice, or somebody they know, or a network connection, or like a social media friend or whatever. I don't know. That sounds pretty antisocial. But the thing is, I guess I do have a very intimate number of friends who I can really consider very close. And like, not to really mention any names, but at the top of my head, I can think of, it's pretty cool that I can think of at least 5 people. But if I were to narrow it down, I probably have like 2 or 1. But that's fine with me. I'm somebody, I can be on good terms with everybody because I hate making enemies. I'm not sure if I'm going to talk about that in another episode, but I hate conflict. I dislike conflicts like with a burning passion. So like I'm somebody who just, I want to take care of the few close friends that I do have. And I really appreciate that those few close friends that I have understand the way I am as a person. That just because I'm not talking to them, or it doesn't mean that I don't care about them, and that they do decide to talk to me and we do decide to talk again, we just reconnect like we were never apart or we haven't spoken in ages. It doesn't feel that way, and I'd hate for it to feel that way. You know what I mean? Okay, I guess I'm just stalling a bit, for time, because I'm kind of in this stage where if I start talking about something new, I'm gonna end up going overtime. But the thing is, if I keep things a little bit too brief, I'm not going to really reach anywhere. But I feel like this entire episode is just a way for me to defend myself with my current social state. Because the thing is, I'm not really talking to anyone right now. Like, I would message a friend here and there, but I'm not really connected with anybody if it weren't for like responsibilities. Does that sound weird? Like at work, I talk to people because it's work. Like we can socialize about random things here and there, but after work, we don't really talk anymore. Does that mean I hate them? Not really. Does that mean I'm not interested about their life? Not really. And kind of sucks because a lot of people at work left, or like prior to this whole thing that happened, I have some friends who also left, like work friends. And we have the way for us to keep in touch is we have to be sociable, or we have to really stay in touch with one another. Otherwise, I feel so distant from them, which is totally not the case for me, but that's how it feels. So it kind of sucks. And then apart from work, the thing is, I'm just at home most of the time. And instead of talking to people, the first thing that comes to my mind is just doing my own thing. And my own thing usually consists of just, I don't know, watching something, TV show, YouTube, or watching movies, reading, listening to podcasts, music. And it sounds super duper antisocial, but like, I I know people are so busy doing their own thing. We all have our own lives, and it's just the way I am. To give people their space. That if they want to talk, we can talk. If we don't want to talk, then we don't have to talk. But the thing is, if there are people who think the same way as I do, and it's inside my circle, I feel like the time for us to talk will never come, and that kind of sucks. I'm kind of laughing, but then inside I'm actually kind of feeling a little bit heavy and kind of want to tear up a bit because like it's kind of like a sad thing. Like after this, I'm actually thinking whether to message a friend, and I was just gonna like ask her like a random thing, but I'm also contemplating whether or not to, and just saying my own reason. I sound like a super horrible friend, and I kind of hate it. Like I really do care, but I just don't care verbally. And you know what they say about nonverbal communication being 70% of communication? I feel like this nonverbal communication of me not interacting with them like come across as wrong or like as antisocial. So it's kind of sad. But the thing is, I'm not antisocial at all. I'm selectively social. It just so happens that in terms of selectiveness, in the situations where I have to be social, most of the time, I'd rather not socialize. So it depends a lot on the situation and mostly closeness or how comfortable I feel with the other person. There's quite a lot of factors to put into it, but that's pretty much what it's like or how it is. Okay, there's been quite a lot of dead airs on this episode, and that's kind of like a no-no when it comes to production. But it's kind of proving a point in its own way that I'm really not much of a talker. Kind of ironic being a podcaster, just talking about things that I want to talk about for hours. Hours. Well, I don't really plan to make this podcast too long. I'm kind of trying to commit to doing at least an hour, and if it exceeds over an hour just a bit, it's kind of cool. But I don't want it to go a little bit too under an hour. I just think it's nice to have a creative outlet and like a responsible duration of how long I want my stuff to be. So I'm just gonna stop, and when it comes to that topic, because I still have to deal with show notes, but we're kind of like 15 minutes into the recording and we still have like 10 minutes left. But I guess reaching the 15-minute mark is the closest it's gonna get. It's as close as it's gonna get. Gosh, my English is running out when it comes to reaching an hour. I do have something that I want to share before we close this whole thing off, because I was actually thinking about how I want to divide my podcast, because I'm hosting this podcast on Anchor, and they have this thing called episode number and season number, like that. And while I do have episode numbers, that number sign 000 or 00 whatever number, but I'm thinking of how to divide my episodes by seasons. Yikes. And I've actually planned my podcast episodes in advance. I have this whole list that I'm looking at right now on what I want to record next, but it's gonna kind of depend on the reality, or because we have no idea what the future is gonna be like. But it's just a way for me to have something to look forward to. But I've actually planned my episodes until episode 21, and coincidentally, if we kind of do this by the calendar, my episode 21 actually kind of happens exactly on New Year 2021. If I'm gonna adjust the schedule a little bit, if I upload this episode on Friday onwards, yeah, because 2021 falls on a Friday, and considering that today is Sunday, I'm thinking of whether I'm gonna just upload this episode, on Friday onwards, just so we can follow that calendar of episode 21 being what do you call that? Posted on 2021, or published on 2021. If there's gonna be a 2021, oh my gosh, are we gonna live to see next year? I hope so. I have so many dreams, bro. But let's just save all of that for another episode. But to give you guys a glimpse, since we've finished week 1, we're officially on episode 8, so it's kind of week 2. I'm thinking of dividing the seasons for every 2-week span. Well, that means 2 rotations of my podcast themes. So I'm thinking of starting season 2 on episode 15 onwards. What do you guys think? I don't know. Does it matter or not? But that's just a way for me to keep things organized. So if I do decide to stop in halfway or in the middle or whatever, at least there's this verbal commitment that I'm ending this season on episode 14. And I already have a lot of topics that you can look forward to if you're a listener of this podcast. Otherwise, it's just for me to talk about again. It's kind of sad, a little bit sad, because now that I'm thinking about it, this episode is about being a social introvert, how I'm an introvert fascinated by people. This podcast, apart from being a creative outlet, somewhat became my socializing. The thing is, it's socializing with myself and nobody on the internet. But if there's somebody on the internet, hello, hi there. It's kind of like a long shot to make really good close friends on the internet or with strangers, considering the world situation. But it's kind of like compensation for the times that I'm unable to talk to my friends or meet or see them face to face. That's why I have this whole podcast going on. That kind of sucks. It kind of sucks just thinking about it now. Wow, that's kind of an ugly way to put it, but it is what it is, I guess. And I don't want to keep you guys for too long. I'm just gonna archive this whole list. And with that said, I guess let's just. Ow, the screen is so bright. Let's get it right into the outro. Ceterox is published on Anchor, so it's available on mainstream platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. I'm just using the free version of Anchor, so apart from that, you can visit anchor.fm/Ceterox. That's ETCETEROX. If you want to see the other channels where it's published. But I also upload my episodes separately on YouTube. That's also at Ceterox. If we reach 100 subscribers, I can claim that URL, but right now, just you can give it a search. It's gonna appear, I hope. I also have an Instagram, also at Ceterox, where I just use hashtags for that SEO and marketing jazz. So if you guys want to give me a follow, you want to connect with me there, sure, why not? Because apart from that, the only other way to interact with me is like the YouTube comment section. And it's kind of awkward to have people email me to interact with me. You guys can just, give me a heart, a thumbs up, or whatever, or send me a nice message on private message on Instagram. That's cool too, if you guys want to. I don't know. Just don't be creepy. Let's be friendly and kind. What else is there for me to add on the outro? This thing is still ad free, and I'm planning to let it stay that way. I don't really plan on monetizing my podcast, but the thing is, if in the future, if this does go off, or if it doesn't, I don't know, I might start a Patreon, just so we can deal with some expenses, since I am using my own equipment and electricity resources to create an episode. But no pressure. I'm really just doing this for fun as a creative outlet. So there's no reason to really give me any money when it comes to this. However, if you do find value and you want to send me some cash, I might consider creating a PayPal for it. But no, it's fine. I'm just happy the way things are right now. If there are listeners out there, then shout out to you. I might consider doing that on future episodes, just so I can give some, show some appreciation to the people who are actually there. And I guess with that said, like doing a quick check on the timer. Yeah, I think it's fine to end here. It's just 59 minutes long, so that's enough for an hour, right? Okay, I'll stop stalling and wasting your time. That's the end of my thinking capacity. Let me know your thoughts and takeaways. In the meantime, till next time. Bye!